There was an interactive assignment titled Invertebrate Cladogram, which asked you to look at a cladogram of the classification of invertebrates and place, say, the protostome features these traits at the base of the protostomes in the cladogram and the deuterostomes at the base of the deuterostomes. A mantle would be placed in the cladogram at the base of the mollusks, while jointed appendages would be placed at the base of the arthropods. Chordate features would be placed at the base of the tree going to chordates, etc. And so I'll ask you to place the given features on the cladogram. There was an activity on a scientific study involving lightning bugs and their flashing. So I might give you a simulation of this and ask you, what's the dependent variable, what's the independent variable, what was measured in the study. And so you might want to review that. There was an interactives, a couple of them, where you went on simulated field trips involving insects and saw that there were different insects in aquatic environments than there would be, near flowers, etc. So I'm just going to ask you in general, pick two different sites and compare the different insects that you found in each. One of the things that was stressed was the great diversity in each of the animal groups. And so I'm going to ask you to compare two different members of the same group as how they, obtain their food. So for example, there's great diversity in cnidarians. These include jellyfish, which are predators, and corals, which get most of their energy through photosynthesis. There's great diversity in the annelids, which include earthworms, which are processing soil for organic material, and leeches, which are typically parasites. And so if you look at the objectives, I give you a couple of groups, and if you could just give me two variations within the group as to how they obtain food. Finally, there were some question sets on food chains. And so if I gave you, and I give you these in the objectives, 3 or 4 organisms, the ones I give you would reasonably fit into a food chain, starting with the smallest one, which ends with a larger one. So for example, blue-green algae are producers. They would be at the base of a food chain, where something like a protist, an amoeba or paramecium might eat them. And then something, whether a small aquatic insect or in marine environments a sponge, might eat them, and so forth. And so you would put them in order based on the most logical sequence in a food chain. So I've given you a couple of sequences where the order is mixed up, and then I might choose some of those where you put them in a more correct order.